What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Currently on my way to work, and I just figured I'd do a little car rant. You know, I have my my coffee and shit, and I'm just kind of sitting here pondering because I've been getting back into my morning routine. For those of you that are not new, my OG morning routine that I started on this channel was not necessarily cardio in the morning. Sometimes I was doing that. It was a little bit more difficult because being in Jersey, the weather wasn't always as permissive. So I would, just get up early, journal, drink some coffee, read, and then just get to work. I would spend some time in the morning just on self-reflection and things I wanted to accomplish that day, because writing is a powerful tool. And I've kind of already broken that down, but it's never, you can speak about it as much as you want. And it's funny because my boss and my company, they're very big on taking notes and stuff like that. And I've just realized how powerful it is. And also the book I've been reading, which I wanted to, talk about and kind of tie everything together because, hit my morning car rant on my way to work. But Extreme Ownership, right? It's essentially, the book is based on taking full accountability for everything. Everything is your fault, and that can be good or bad. It's not necessarily because people, when they hear at fault, they think of it as only being a negative thing, but it's not always a negative thing, right? Because something that is good that happens could also be your fault. It's all about how we frame and give words power, right? If I created a product and sold it for $1 billion and became a billionaire, that would also be my fault. So taking ownership for everything, but taking credit for nothing. That's the opposite part where it kind of contradicts what I just said. It's just moving humbly, leading humbly, and understanding that I don't want to say everything, most things are within your control, right? If you God forbid you get struck by lightning, you decided to go outside. That level of accountability makes you realize that in life, you have the power and the choice to really say and do whatever you want. Which means you can change for the good or the worse at any time. So, but yeah, just, reflecting on that, it's, reading that book and kind of going through and, working with my company, and writing is so powerful because it holds you accountable to the words that you put on the paper and just the way that you self-reflect. And so writing is something that I never really took advantage of, even when it comes to planning, planning things out, for example, what YouTube videos I want to make. Right now, I'm just focusing on habit building. So, and, making the conscious choice and taking accountability on just picking the camera up. And even if it's just talking like I am now, talking about nothing, it doesn't always have to be something. It could literally be nothing. Anything can give somebody a tool that they could possibly use in the future, but I have to go through a lot of outlining and planning now to be more responsible and have accountability, but also visibility. It's a big thing that I've lacked. I can hold myself accountable to some measures, but only when it's in my routine. But how do I hold myself accountable when it comes to anything else in life? I can't say I don't know what to film or I don't know what to record, because if I write down a plan and I don't stick to it, that's completely my fault. When it comes to building teams and training and being a leader, it's the same thing. If I'm not writing down goals and expectations from my team or myself, how are they supposed to know? How are they supposed to know what I expect? How are they supposed to know, where accountability comes from and self-accountability? And you have to create organization within yourself and your mind and your thoughts. And the easiest way to do that is through planning and creating and writing. And I'm a huge, what's the word I'm looking for? Advocate. There we go. I'm a huge advocate of that. And I realized the power of it because in the past I pretty much wrote down, and this is a great journal prompt if anybody wants to take it. What does your perfect day look like? Or at what point, what do you do that makes you feel your best? And for me, that's getting up, fighting through that morning tired, I feel accomplished, making my bed, journaling, reading or gaining knowledge or learning, moving my body in the morning, stretching, and, eating healthy. What do you do that makes you feel your best? And that's kind of like the thing that I'm really trying to harp on. It's, for me, it's making sure I'm stretching, because, if I make the conscious choice not to stretch, I save 10 minutes, but my body hurts, and that's not always a good thing. So it's making the conscious decisions to do better and be the best version of yourself every day. Like our CEO said this, and it was like our quote of the day. It's really hard to lose when you wake up and decide to win every day, or something like that. When winning is your choice, when you wake up and say, every decision I'm going to make is going to revolve around winning. Start thinking about decisions. Like if you're like, what do I want to eat? Think about like, okay, what would be the best for me in my situation right now? And you can decide if you don't care. If you're like, honestly, I don't care, I just want to eat whatever, then you can justify making, lesser choices. But when you think about everything from an aspect of, what is my goal right now? How do I get there? What does winning mean to me? And how do I plan on executing that? You start to make better decisions as a whole. And that's where it kind of all ties in as far as extreme ownership, right? It's taking accountability and ownership over everything, even down to the micro decisions you make. The time you decide to wake up, the time you decide to leave for work, the time you decide to eat, what you decide to eat, how you exercise, how you train. If you're trying to be an athlete, dude, stop focusing on bodybuilding. Focus on dynamic movement, becoming mobile and flexible. Like, if you want to be big, how come you're not eating enough calories? Like, you have to make every decision count. Because I'm a huge believer in like that extra 5%. Like, every little thing that you do, it stacks and it adds up. And I promise you, I know that it's hard. It's hard to be able to show up every second of the day. But the thing is, it's not complicated. We all know what needs to be done. It's not complex. We're not solving math equations. There's no complexity to making a good choice. But is it hard to make a good choice every day? Yes. But that's how you build the character traits that you need in order to be the best version of you. Like, dude, when I wake up in the morning, I looked at the clock and said, I could sleep an extra 2.5 hours and nobody would know. But that is not going to build better character. And when you make those character building decisions, those are the things that rub off on other people when you meet them, and how you're able to influence and impact other people's lives, because they hear it in your words. They hear the conviction in your voice that you decided to make that choice every single day. When I meet people and I shake their hand and my presence means something, and they're like, hey, I'm happy to know you, I'm happy to have met you because you're such a great person, or like, hey, you're so disciplined, like, hey, you're this, you're that. It's like hearing that stuff, it just affirms that I'm making the right choices. I want my personality and my decisions to live through me, not based off of how I speak. I shouldn't have to tell you I go to the gym. You should see it. I shouldn't have to tell you I'm smart. You should hear it. I shouldn't have to tell you I'm a good speaker. You should hear that. You should feel that. My presence should be felt. And the reason for that is due to extreme ownership and accountability. You have to hold yourself to the highest standard for every decision you make. Stop sitting around and thinking that things are just going to happen and that you putting off decisions is going to improve your life. I'll tell you this right now. Some people get lucky. Some people don't ever have to think this way, and shit kind of just happens and their life is just great. But then you're missing that piece of you. You might not be complete as a man. You might, because a lot of us, and me, I used to tie so much value into how much money I made. But you can make all the money in the world, but if you can't cook and you're not respectful and you're not well-mannered and you don't carry yourself with a presence, nobody gives a shit, dude. Nobody cares. What people care about is that you're a good person and you have strong presence. Especially, even if they don't care about that, you should care about that for you. You should be able to walk into a room and know, like, hey, I know how to move. I can do whatever I want. I can say whatever I want, obviously within reason. But just knowing that you have that level of pride and influencing yourself to where if you want to make mountains move, you can make them move. If you want to make things shake, you make them shake. Like, you need to be a go-getter and somebody that you're like, hey, I'm reliable, I know how to get shit done. And that comes from character traits and decision making and accountability. And especially when it comes to leadership, you cannot expect to lead others or have more responsibility if you can't even do that for yourself. Everybody's had this. We've all had that one person who's been our boss that we sit in front of and we're like, dude, how did this person even get here? They're super disheveled. They drink every night. They're like sloppy. They don't know how to talk. They don't carry themselves. Some people skate by, it's true. But why do you want to be the person that skates by? What do you want your kids to be like? Like, you have to make good choices every day. You have to hold yourself to the high standard every day and every decision. You need to do what's right because it's right, not because you think it's right. Do the right thing because it's the right thing, and do it for you. Like, damn, this turned into a motivational speech. Like, you gotta. There's no other way to put it, man. Like, and these are the things that I've been reflecting on, because I did a lot of, to sum everything up, because I'm kind of just yapping right now. To sum everything up, I held myself to a very high standard. I got a piece of what I wanted, and then I slowed down. And then my excuses were, oh, but I just moved, I'm learning, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Like, things are falling into place. Okay. And the job's not finished. The job is not finished ever. The goal in life should be infinite, continuous self-improvement. Not like, oh, when I get the job and make $250,000 a year, then I'll be happy, or I'll be exactly where I want to be. No. The goal should be to be a better version of yourself today than you were yesterday. Because if you do that, and you choose to be a winner every day, and you choose to grow every single day, the goals that you're trying to reach become inevitable. You become inevitable. You are just somebody who, you're just waiting for your arrival. You're just going to show up when the time is ready, because you're always going to be prepared. All right, that's my rant for the day.